In 2010, scientists uncovered a lost branch of humanity by decoding DNA from a child's finger bone found in a Siberian cave. That species came to be known as Denisovans, visible only in genetic code for nearly 15 years. Billions of people walked the earth with Denisovan genes, yet nobody knew their actual face. In 2018, an anonymous skull hidden in a Chinese well for generations resurfaced, and it challenged every assumption about these ancient humans. Tonight, you will discover how a few milligs of fossilized tooth plaque settled the greatest mystery in human evolution, and why the consequences reach far beyond the pages of our DNA. What did the Denisovans really look like? And what will their resurrection mean for our own story? In 2008, deep inside Denisova Cave in the Alai Mountains of southern Siberia, Russian archaeologists uncovered a fragment of a child's pinky finger. The bone was small and at first glance unremarkable, but it held a secret that would upend the study of human origins. When geneticists Svante Pääbo and Johannes Krauss at the Max Planck Institute sequenced its mitochondrial DNA, the results stunned the scientific world. The genetic code did not match Neanderthals or modern humans. Instead, it belonged to a completely unknown branch of the human family tree. This was the first time a new human species was identified by DNA alone. They called these people Denisovans, after the cave where the bone was found. Yet the discovery came with a frustrating irony. Scientists now possess the complete genetic blueprint of a vanished humanity, but almost nothing of their physical form. Snorts. The only confirmed Denisovan remains were that tiny finger bone, a handful of massive teeth, each nearly twice the size of a modern molar, and a small skull fragment. No full skeleton, no face. For years, Denisovans existed as a ghost species, visible only through the patterns in their DNA. Researchers tried to bridge the gap using new methods. Svante Pääbo's team pioneered DNA methylation mapping, a technique that reads chemical markers on ancient DNA to infer how genes might have shaped the body. Their predictions painted a rough outline. Denisovans likely had a wide pelvis, a long face, a broad rib cage, and large joints. But these were educated guesses, not direct observations. Without real fossils to test these ideas, the true appearance of Denisovans remained an unsolved puzzle. The mystery only deepened as more clues surfaced. A partial jawbone found on the Tibetan plateau hinted at Denisovan presence far from Siberia. But even this connection relied on protein analysis, not DNA. The search for their true identity became one of the most persistent quests in modern science. In 1933, on the muddy banks of the Sunhua River in northeastern China, a laborer digging for gravel uncovered something extraordinary. It was not gold or jade, but a skull, massive, heavy, and unlike any he had ever seen. The region was under Japanese occupation, and rumors swirled about ancient bones vanishing into foreign hands. Fearing his find would be seized, the man wrapped the skull and lowered it into an abandoned well. Trusting the darkness to keep it safe, he told no one, not even his family, and returned to his life as a farmer. Decades passed. The skull survived war, revolution, and the chaos of a country in upheaval, its secret kept by a single man. 85 years later, the secret surfaced. Nearing the end of his life, the laborer finally shared his story with his grandson. Music. Acting on his grandfather's instructions, the young man retrieved the skull from the well, still intact after all those years. In 2018, the family brought the fossil to Hebeo University, where scientists recognized its importance immediately. The cranium measured over 9 in long and 6 in wide, making it the largest human skull ever found. One tooth remained rooted in the jaw, its enamel worn but unbroken. The face was broad, the brow ridges thick, and the eye sockets almost square. Paleoanthropologist Chang Yi led the initial analysis. The skull's combination of ancient and modern traits puzzled researchers. Its brain case was long and low, not round like ours. The cheekbones were flat and delicate, yet the features projected strength. In 2021, Ji's team announced that the fossil represented a new human species, giving it the name Homo longi, Dragon Man, in honor of the Black Dragon River where it was found. News of the discovery rippled through the scientific world. Chris Stringer, a veteran of 50 years at London's Natural History Museum, called it the most important fossil he had seen in his career. Yet questions remained. Who was Dragon Man? Was this the face of the elusive Denisovan or another lost branch of humanity? The answers would depend on the work of scientists like Sham Fu, whose expertise in ancient DNA would soon put the Harbin skull to the ultimate test. Fu faced a dilemma that would have sent most researchers back to the drawing board. 6 separate attempts to extract DNA from the Harbin skull, targeting both the massive tooth and the dense petrous bone, came up empty. After 146,000 years, buried in the shifting riverbank mud of northeastern China, not a single usable strand of ancient DNA remained in the usual places. The Harbin specimen, so tantalizingly complete, seemed destined to remain silent about its true identity. But Fu noticed something most would overlook: a thin, mineralized crust clinging to the root of the skull's last remaining tooth. This was dental calculus, the fossilized plaque that forms when bacteria and food particles harden over a lifetime. While bone and enamel often surrender nothing after millennia, dental calculus can act as a biological time capsule, trapping microscopic fragments of DNA within its crystalline layers. Calculus had kept a secret. With steady hands, Fu's team scraped away just 3/10 of a milligram, barely enough to cover the tip of a needle. This minuscule sample carried enormous risk. Ancient calculus is notorious for soaking up modern DNA from anyone who handles it. When the first results came back, nearly 80% of the genetic material was contamination, traces from scientists, curators, and anyone who had ever touched the skull. Contamination threatened to bury the discovery. To separate signal from noise, the team relied on advanced filtering protocols developed for exactly this kind of challenge. They searched for genetic patterns impossible to fake, hunting for mitochondrial DNA fragments that matched no living human or Neanderthal. The breakthrough came with the identification of 27 gene variants. Each one previously found only in Denisovan remains from the depths of Siberia. Not a single one could be traced to modern contamination. The calculus overlooked by generations of scientists had preserved the unmistakable genetic fingerprint of a Denisovan. Fu, who had helped discover Denisovans 15 years earlier, now stood at the center of their unmasking. She told reporters, "After 15 years, we give the Denisovan a face. It is really a special feeling. I feel really happy." For the first time, molecular evidence tied a nearly complete skull to the Denisovan lineage. The ghost species, known for so long only through scattered code, finally had a face drawn from both fossil and gene. The scientific world, once divided by speculation, now had proof Dragon Man was Denisovan. Confirmation came not just from ancient DNA, but from the very proteins preserved in the Harbin skull. Xiaomi Fu's team extracted samples from the dense petrous bone and subjected them to a new paleoprotozoic analysis. The results were staggering. Over 308,000 peptide spectrum matches yielding a record 95 endogenous proteins from a single ancient human. Among these, 122 single amino acid polymorphisms stood out as unique to the homogeneous. 3 of those variants matched only Denisovan fossils, a molecular signature that left no room for doubt. Publication of these findings in June 2025 sent ripples through the scientific community. 2 major journals, Cell and Science, carried the dual studies back to back, underscoring the weight of the evidence. Fredo Welker, a leading authority on ancient proteins at the University of Copenhagen, reviewed the data and called it quite convincing. For the first time, independent lines of molecular evidence converged on a single conclusion. Dragon Man was Denisovan, not just in genetic code, but in the very proteins that once powered his living cells. With the molecular case closed, attention turned to the anatomy. The Harbin skull, now confirmed as Denisovan, offered the first true glimpse of their face. The cranium stretched over 9 in length and more than 6 in wide, making it the largest human skull ever found. The brain case was long and low, not round like our own, and the brow ridges projected power above large square eye sockets. The cheekbones were unexpectedly flat and delicate, giving the face a mix of ancient power and modern subtlety. A broad nose and a wide, deep mouth completed the portrait. Features echoed in the enormous molars that once puzzled Fonte Pavo. Paleoanthropologist Benny Viola used these proportions to estimate the body that carried such a head. The numbers pointed to a lean mass of nearly 220 pounds, a figure more in line with a heavyweight athlete than a modern human. This was a robust, physically imposing population built for survival in the harsh climates of Ice Age Asia. The face of the Denisovan, hidden for millennia, now stood revealed in bone and protein. The features matched predictions made years earlier by DNA methylation mapping, confirming the power of reading ancient anatomy from gene expression. Where earlier reconstructions relied on guesswork and fragments, the Harbin skull provided a complete living link between the code of the past and the faces of our vanished relatives. For the scientists who had chased this mystery for 15 years, the moment was more than vindication. It was a reunion with a long-lost branch of the human family. Denisovans were never limited to a single cave in Siberia. Their genetic signature traced through mitochondrial DNA links the Harbin skull to an ancient lineage that spanned thousands of miles across the Asian continent. Analysis places this lineage between 217,000 and 106,000 years ago, connecting the Dragon Man of northeastern China to the original Denisovan individuals, music, from the Alai Mountains. This vast range is unlike anything seen in other archaic humans of the era. The reach of Denisovans stretches beyond Harbin. Fossil sites scattered across China, Dali in the Central Plains, Guineushan in the northeast, and Huangdong further south have yielded skulls and bones with features echoing those seen in the Harbin cranium. These remains share a mix of ancient and modern traits: broad faces, large teeth, and robust builds. While direct genetic evidence is still pending for these fossils, their anatomical similarities suggest they may represent a wider Denisovan population that once thrived across East Asia. The evidence points to a people who adapted to a range of environments, from the cold steppe of Siberia to the humid forests and high plateaus of China. The confirmed connection between the Harbin skull and Siberian Denisovans reshapes our understanding of ancient human migration. Denisovans were not isolated relics, but a widespread population, leaving traces in the fossil record from the Alai Mountains to the banks of the Sanwa River. The search for more Denisovan fossils continues, each new discovery adding another piece to the puzzle of who these ancient humans were and how far their legacy extends. Denison DNA did not vanish with their bones. Traces of this ancient lineage still shape the biology of people living today. In Papua New Guinea, nearly 5% of the average person's genome can be traced back to Denisovan ancestors. Aboriginal Australians and Filipino Negritos also carry significant Denisovan heritage, a reminder of ancient journeys and encounters that shaped the modern world. One of the most remarkable legacies appears high on the Tibetan Plateau. Here, the thin air holds only 60% of the oxygen found at sea level. Yet, Tibetan populations thrive thanks to a unique version of the EPAS1 gene. This genetic adaptation allows their bodies to use oxygen far more efficiently, preventing the dangerous effects of altitude sickness. Rasmus Nielsen, a geneticist at the University of California, Berkeley, traced this gene's origins. He found that the Tibetan EPA1 variant is almost identical to the Denisovan version and found in no other human population. It is a living gift from a vanished people, an evolutionary advantage written in ancient code. The techniques that revealed this connection are already reshaping the search for our deep past. Dental calculus, once ignored as mere fossilized plaque, has become a vital tool. It preserves ancient DNA when bone and tooth fail, offering a new way to study fossils once thought silent. Xiaomi Fu's team proved that even a pinhead's worth of calculus can yield secrets lost for over H100,000 years. As excavations continue across Asia and molecular methods advance, the story of the Denisovans is far from over. Their genes and the methods used to find them promise new discoveries linking the distant past to the living present. For the first time, the Denison face is no longer a ghost in our genome. It is real, and its legacy lives on in billions today. As genetic science unlocks ancient secrets from just a speck of dental calculus, the line between past and present grows thinner. Our human story is still being written one fragment at a time. What would you ask our ancient cousins if you could?